So perfect competition, I really didn't want you guys to read the chapter in the book because you've already done it. Perfect competition is market demand and market supply. That's it. You already did it in chapter 3. It's just saying, what does a market look like when there's lots of buyers and lots of sellers? All of the goods are pretty much the same. So like with Melbourne Coffee, you just cross the road and find a different supplier. Suppliers don't really care who they sell to. You're just another person that wandered in off the street asking for a soy latte. There's a soy latte, off you go. So we already taught this model, so I don't want you reading chapter 4 because, again, it uses all those crap little cost curves, and I find those to be worse than useless. What does it mean? It means with lots of them, what it means is that buyers just look at the price. When you get a coffee, you know that soy latte you get from here is exactly pretty much the same soy latte as the one across the road, which is pretty much the same as the one a block and a half up. So what do you look at? Well, since they're all the same bloody soy lattes, you just look at the price. Maybe this shop has better biscuits. That might be what you make a choice on, or you like the decor here, or these guys stop the age and those guys don't. Right? They're all pretty much of a muchness, so you just go on price. That's what we're saying about perfect competition. You might as well ignore everything else. All that matters is you go and buy your soy latte at the place that gives you the best soy latte at the cheapest price. So the buyers are doing that, but also the sellers are doing that. The sellers are just selling soy lattes to whoever comes in. So that's a perfectly competitive market. What we can talk about later is what's called market demand. What's happening here is you don't really think as a buyer or seller, as an individual, you can do anything about that price. Soy lattes cost $3.50, and they cost $3.50 across the road, and they cost $3.50 down the road. And if you change your price a little bit, the market will kill you because people will just walk. If your soy lattes cost 25 cents more than the soy lattes across the road. So that's perfect competition. Monopoly, as we're saying, will be the comparison to that. So in a perfectly competitive market, what's our prediction? Well, our prediction is that the market equilibrium will be where these two curves cross. Right? So we're going to say, if this is market demand and that's market supply, my prediction about the equilibrium will be that the market price and market quantity will be where these two curves cross. In that sense, though, perfectly competitive markets come with a lot of savings to them. Right? In a perfectly competitive market, all you need to know as a buyer is how much the soy lattes go for in the market. If everyone knows soy lattes go for $3.50, that's it. You don't have to go out there and check prices. You don't have to check qualities. They're all the same soy lattes. They all go for $3.50. So you just pop into the first shop that sells soy lattes and you buy them. Okay. So this is one idea I have to introduce at this point is what's called market power. So market power is a very vague concept. It's not really an economic concept. It's just a tool that we use. Market power just means, does an individual buyer or maybe seller have the ability to affect market price? So the key difference really with monopoly and perfect competition is with perfect competition, no one has any market power. If an individual supplier drops over dead and doesn't serve soy lattes at this coffee shop in Melbourne on a Monday, all their customers will go across the road and they'll buy soy lattes at the other shop. Or they'll go up the road and buy at the shop up there. It's not going to have any impact upon the price of soy lattes in Melbourne because that individual supplier in that tiny little shop is just a very small part. Very easily replaced. No one will know. If you drop dead on your way into work, will that change the price of soy lattes in Melbourne? You get tragically crushed by a runaway tram? And the answer is no. No one will know. Well, the tram will have to stop and there'll be lots of people inconvenienced because they have to clean that up. But the real thing is that the $3.50 is what a soy latte will still cost, despite the fact that you were the regular buyer of one soy latte at that little shop every morning. You're not going to shift the market because you're just one person. Melbourne's got close to 5 million people in it. No one will know. So in a perfectly competitive market, individual suppliers and individual buyers have no market power. If they're there or not, it won't affect the price. And if they decide to do something, it's not going to have an effect on the market price either because they're small. Okay, so think about yourself as being one of those guys that runs a Melbourne cafe and you're selling soy lattes. And everyone knows that soy lattes go for $3.50. All of a sudden you think, What I'm going to do, I'm going to improve the decor here, and I'm going to do all these other things and serve better cookies, and then I'm going to charge $3.75 for my soy. Now, what might happen? Well, people might go along with that. They might think it's worth 25 cents. But an awful lot of other people might simply say, you know, $3.75 here, $3.50 there. Why am I paying 25 cents more for a soy latte? Across the road, there we go. In a perfectly competitive industry, you can't really affect the price. If you raise your prices above the people around you, your customers will all shift. So they'll all go across the road or up the road, and they'll be buying their soy lattes for $3.50 like they expect, because they don't think that they should have to pay $3.70. So again, that's this idea of market power. In a very big market with lots of sellers who are all selling essentially the same good, you can't change the price, because if you do, you'll lose all of your market. So your customers will switch.